Ladies and gentlemen, visionaries and believers, I stand before you with a simple challenge. Not a challenge of muscle nor one of money, but of mind. For just 3 days, I ask you to become your own greatest coach, your most loyal friend, your fiercest believer. Every spoken word is a seed. You may not see it bloom the moment it leaves your lips, but beneath the surface, it's already altering the soil of your life. The words you speak, especially the ones you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening, are creating blueprints for your future. The world doesn't move by accident. It bends to intention. And intention rides on the back of language. When you say, I can't, your mind begins building walls. When you say, I will, it starts forging keys. Words are not just sounds. They are commands to the subconscious, instructions to the nervous system, signals to the world around you that shape how it responds. Most people speak carelessly, unaware that every phrase is either lifting them higher or locking them in place. I'm tired. I'm broke. I'm not good enough. These aren't just observations. They're contracts, spoken agreements with limitation. The more you say them, the more your reality begins to reflect them. It's not magic. It's mechanics. You program your perception, your focus, your behavior, all through the language you consistently use. The subconscious mind doesn't argue, it doesn't debate, it receives. Whatever you say with feeling, with repetition, and with belief, it takes as truth. Whether it's poison or power, your mind will absorb it and build around it. So if you say, I never catch a break, your subconscious doesn't ask if that's a good belief to have. It starts filtering your experience to prove you right. Words are creative tools, and like any tool, they can build or destroy. The mind, once it receives a word, goes to work gathering evidence, rearranging behavior, attracting circumstances. Speak in fear, and you attract reasons to be afraid. Speak in strength, and you draw strength to you. Life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you consistently declare. When you speak with power, your posture changes. Your presence sharpens. Your mind begins to expect different outcomes. That expectation rewires your actions. And your actions over time create your world. All of it traces back to the words you use. The frequency you broadcast into the atmosphere. This isn't about fake positivity or sugar-coated optimism. It's about knowing that language is a weapon, and you are either stabbing yourself with it or slicing through barriers in your path. You are either scripting your downfall or narrating your rise. The choice is yours, and it starts with the next sentence that leaves your mouth. Some call it affirmations, others call it intention, but in truth it is alignment of thought, word, and outcome. You speak, your mind listens, and the world adjusts. When you say, I am powerful, you are not waiting for power to show up. You're claiming it, activating it, commanding it to rise from within. Everything you see around you, every building, every invention, every work of art, every business, every revolution, was once just a thought. A quiet idea in someone's mind that refused to stay silent. That's the power of thought. It is the original force, the spark that sets everything in motion. Before there was movement, there was a vision. Before there was creation, there was belief. And before there was belief, there was a single persistent thought. You don't need the world to believe in your vision. You don't need a committee or a permission slip or a vote of approval. You need one thing, a thought you refuse to let go of. Because a thought held long enough, felt deeply enough, believed fully enough becomes reality. Not by chance, but by law. Thoughts are the raw material of destiny. They don't just float through the mind. They shape it. They shape focus. They direct behavior. And over time, they bend the outer world into alignment. Your dominant thoughts are not just ideas. They are orders, marching instructions sent to your subconscious. And your subconscious, it doesn't sit idle. It acts, it steers, it nudges you toward the people, places, and opportunities that match your inner frequency. You're not just thinking thoughts, you're projecting blueprints. You're laying down tracks, and life follows those tracks like the stronger the thought, the faster the train moves. Most people treat thoughts like harmless mental noise. They let doubt roam freely. They entertain worry like it's a guest. They replay failure like a broken record. And then they wonder why their life reflects the very fears they tried to ignore. What they don't realize is this. You can't think fear all day and expect courage to show up. You can't dwell on lack and expect abundance to chase you down. You can't imagine defeat and walk into victory. Your inner world is a magnet. Every sustained thought draws its own kind. Think powerfully and powerful things begin to orbit you. Think weakly and you become a magnet for obstacles. This isn't mysticism, it's mental physics. Your attention is the most valuable currency you have, and your thoughts are investments. Spend enough mental energy on anything and you give it life. You animate it. You begin building it, moment by moment, brick by invisible brick. The mind is the first battlefield. If you lose there, the war is over before it begins. But if you win there, if you discipline your thinking, guard it, shape it, you start becoming something new. Not because the outside world changed, but because you rewired the command center. You changed the orders you were giving yourself. Think in strength and your voice changes. Think in wealth and your decisions sharpen. Think in purpose and time bends around you. Thought is cause, life is effect. Everything you manifest in the physical first took root in the invisible. What you hold in your mind long enough, with enough belief, with enough emotion, begins to materialize in form. Inside every mind there is a voice. It speaks before you act. It whispers when no one is around. It narrates every moment of your life, sometimes with power, sometimes with poison. And the truth is, that voice will either become your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. The difference lies in one thing: discipline. Discipline the inner voice or be dominated by it. Because left unchecked, that voice becomes a reckless force. It will remind you of every past failure. It will magnify fear. It will replay doubt like a broken film reel. It will argue for your limitations with more energy than you argue for your potential. But that voice is not you. It's not your truth. It's your conditioning. It's the echo of your past trying to script your future. You were not born with self-doubt. You were taught it. You were not born thinking small. You absorbed it. And the voice inside, it has been programmed by years of repetition, criticism, and the opinions of those who settled. But the moment you begin to discipline it, to reshape it, to challenge it, to speak over it, you reclaim your authority. Your results in life will never outgrow your identity. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe you are. Success isn't just a goal, it's a reflection. If you want to change your outcomes, you must first change the image of the person behind them. Because until you shift your identity, every strategy, every plan, every move you make will be filtered through the limits of who you think you are. Most people try to upgrade their habits without upgrading the person performing them. They chase new results while dragging around the old self-concept. They try to hustle their way to freedom while still wearing the identity of someone who settles. That's why the transformation doesn't hold. Because the mind always pulls you back to match the level of your internal blueprint. Identity is not fixed. It is not inherited. It is built, constructed through repetition, belief, and language. You create a new identity the moment you begin to speak, think, and act like the version of you who already owns the life you want. You don't wait to feel ready. You start living as that person now. You rehearse their confidence. You embody their decisions. You adopt their standards. Because identity is not what you say you are, it's what you prove with your past. You must become the kind of person who no longer entertains excuses, the kind of person who does not negotiate with fear, the kind of person who follows through regardless of emotion. That's the identity of a leader, of a winner, of someone who refuses to return to their old self no matter how tempting the comfort may be. And you do this not through force, but through clarity and repetition. You get clearer on who you must become, and you practice being them every single day. Every time you override an old habit, every time you respond to adversity with strength instead of panic, every time you act in alignment with a new standard, you are carving a new identity into your nervous system. You are proving to yourself that you are no longer available for the version of life you used to accept. This is not just about behavior, it's about embodiment. The most powerful changes happen when you no longer have to try to be different, because you simply are. Speak it before you see it. Move like it before you have the title. Think like it before you get the reward. The mind does not wait for external evidence. It begins to reshape the world the moment you begin to reshape yourself. If you say, I'm disciplined, and you act on it daily, you start to believe it. That belief becomes identity, and identity locks in the behaviors that produce the life you were always meant to live. You do not need to earn your new identity. You need to claim it. You need to step into it, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when your surroundings don't match it yet. Because identity leads reality, not the other way around. Momentum is not magic. It doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's created through action, through energy, and most of all through repetition. One action by itself is a spark. Repeated action becomes a fire. When you do something once, you start the engine. When you do it daily, you build the machine. It's not the size of the move that creates momentum, it's the consistency of the motion. Most people underestimate the power of small, repeated efforts. They think if it's not dramatic, it's not doing anything. But repetition is the hidden force that turns ordinary actions into unstoppable progress. One workout doesn't change your body, but stacking it for weeks does. One affirmation won't rewire your mind, but feeding your subconscious the same message every morning for 30 days will begin to reprogram the lens you see life through. 1 hour of focus won't make you great, but daily discipline compounds into mastery. Repetition trains the nervous system. It conditions the mind. It builds the muscle of execution. And once that muscle is built, you don't have to rely on willpower. You rely on momentum. Willpower is useful for starting. Momentum is what keeps you moving long after motivation fades, because momentum doesn't ask how you feel. Momentum doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Momentum is blind to distraction. Once it's in motion, it becomes a force of its own. But the only way to build it is to commit to doing the thing over and over, especially when the results aren't visible yet, especially when you feel like it's not working, especially when your emotions scream for comfort. That's when repetition matters most, when it's boring, when it's difficult, when it's quiet. That's where greatness is forged. In the grind of doing what most will stop doing after the excitement wears off. Repetition creates identity. If you wake up early for one day, you're trying. If you do it every day for a month, you're becoming. The action repeated becomes the standard, and once something becomes your standard, it's no longer a negotiation. It's who you are. That's why repetition isn't just about results, it's about becoming someone new through the discipline of doing what needs to be done, whether the world is watching or not. The world doesn't respond to effort, it responds to rhythm. When you show up again and again, you become predictable to success. You build a frequency that attracts alignment. You walk with a pace that intimidates hesitation, because repetition makes you faster, sharper, and more dangerous to anything that tries to stop your progress. You don't need massive change to start. You need deliberate repetition. Stack wins. Show up daily. Practice like it matters. Speak like it's already true. Move like momentum is building behind you, because it is. The brain learns through patterns. The body responds through motion. Keep repeating until the thing that was once hard becomes automatic. Keep showing up until the world starts to move out of your way. Keep swing until resistance breaks and motion becomes momentum. Your mind is the control tower of your existence. Every emotion you feel, every decision you make, every result you produce, it all begins in the mind. And if you don't take command of it, something else will. Fear will, doubt will, the opinions of others will. The untrained mind is like an unguarded fortress, vulnerable, weak, and easily invaded. But the disciplined mind, the mind under command, becomes a weapon, sharp, focused, and nearly unstoppable. Command is not about force, it's about leadership. It's about deciding what you allow into your mental environment and what you reject. It's about choosing your focus with precision, because whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on setbacks, you'll find more. If you focus on opportunity, it begins to reveal itself. Your mind is constantly scanning for proof of whatever belief is strongest. And the belief that wins is the one you feed the most. You command your mind through language, through focus, and through repetition. The words you say to yourself are not just commentary, they are instructions. Your subconscious listens, records, and responds. If you say, "I always mess things up," your mind will work to validate that. If you say, "I am focused and in control," your mind begins looking for ways to embody it. That's why mastery begins not in behavior, but in thought. Not in action, but in instruction. Every time you redirect your thoughts, you're training your mind to obey. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, focus over fear, responsibility over reaction, you're strengthening the signal that you are in charge. You're reminding your system that the voice of leadership comes from within, not from the outside world, not from temporary emotions. Most people live at the mercy of their mental state. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel overwhelmed, they collapse. If they feel unsure, they freeze. But the mind was not designed to be your master. It was designed to be your tool. It follows the strongest influence. If emotion is leading, emotion wins. If leadership is leading, leadership wins. The question is, who's giving the orders? Most people live at the mercy of their mental state. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel overwhelmed, they collapse. If they feel unsure, they freeze. But the mind was not designed to be your master. It was designed to be your tool. It follows the strongest influence. If emotion is leading, emotion wins. If leadership is leading, leadership wins. The question is, who's giving the orders? When you command your mind, you take control of the invisible systems that run your life. You set the tone for your day before the world can set it for you. You choose your response before circumstance can trigger it for you. You program belief before doubt can speak. You prepare action before hesitation has a chance to slow you down. Control is about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about taking ownership of the one thing that influences everything else. You don't need to know every step of the journey. You just need to control the next thought, the next decision, the next reaction. Because when you own that moment, you own your momentum. And momentum, once harnessed, becomes power. Power to shift your energy, power to silence the noise, power to bend circumstances in your favor, power to lead your life from the inside out. In just 3 days, everything can begin to shift if you take control of the one thing that shapes it all, your mind. Speak with purpose, think with power, act with intention. Your words, thoughts, and inner voice are not background noise. They are the blueprint of your reality. Repetition builds momentum, momentum creates identity, and identity drives destiny. When you command your mind, you stop reacting and start creating. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. Start now. Talk to yourself like the person you are becoming, and let that version of you take the lead.